We have, first off, what we're going to do, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, then we'll get into our discussion item. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome all, and thank you for the people that are here in person and those that are listening either on Facebook or GITV. What we're going to do first here, we're going to have a discussion item from the board, and what this is going to be, I don't want to take too much time on this, but all of us had different items we'd like to bring up within the township here to either bring it up as action items within, say, the first 90 days, or things that we'd like to move forward within the township. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go first, and I'm not going to get into these real deep because, again, it would take too long. So each and every one of us will get a chance to talk, and we will go from there. So first off, just some points that I had that I would like to see us get into the township or, once again, move forward. I want you to know, if you come down to Township Hall in the month of December, the people are going to be dressed in casual clothing as they do on Fridays. And no, we haven't changed our dress code, but what I want to let you know is that we came up with a plan to sponsor a family through the Goodfellows Association this Christmas. So what we did is to get people to kick in a certain amount of money. If they want to be a part of this, they put in the money and they get to, for the month of December only, wear what they get to wear on Fridays. So I think that's a win-win for everyone. It's going to be obviously good for the Goodfellows, obviously good for the family that we're sponsoring, and it's good for the people. It's good for morale for the workers. So if you do come down and you're wondering why they might be dressed down for the whole month, that's the reason for it. The next thing is I'm going to be doing a monthly every 2 months Facebook video just to kind of let the people of Grosse Ile know what's going on. There was some concern, and I appreciate it. We got emails previous, obviously, to this meeting about not being notified of certain things, but maybe events, anything that we have that we're forwarding in the township. So Brian and I are going to put that together. It'll only be a couple minutes, so you only have to see my face for a few minutes there on Facebook. So, but I think what it'll do, it will help people, and it may encourage you if you see something coming up at a township board meeting that you would like to see or comment on, and you can always comment, obviously, by email. I think we have just one tonight, Brian, for that, but you can always do it by email. But if you want to come down in person, obviously, everyone is welcome. So that's another thing that we're going to be doing. The next thing is the Communications Commission was dropped, I want to say about 6 years ago, and it was never brought back. And I think it's important that we have a Communications Commission. I'm going to ask the board. We'll vote on this. We'll bring it forward. And what this also is going to do is expand our video program. If you notice, some of the events that we have had out here in the last 4, 5, 6 years, there's no video of it. There's no anything. And I think it's kind of neat when you see, Island Fest, you see some of the parades with the kids, and they love seeing themselves. So what we're going to try and do is expand that video program along with bringing back the Communications Commission, and then we'll be asking for applications. It's very simple. There's a quick application just to fill out so we have you on file so we know who is interested in what commission. And it's for any commission if you're interested. And you can always put in an application to any commission, even if they're not looking for people at this time. So just keep that in mind. So that is the next thing. Now, this next one it might need a little explanation. I'm not going to go too far into it. Teresa and I talked about it. Other board members and I talked about it. I want to see a forensic audit of the entire township. And this is not pointing fingers. This is not doing anything other than knowing that this township board is going to start fresh, and we are going to know where every single dime went to and is. Now, we're going to decide if it's 3 years, 4 years, 6 years back. Teresa and I are going to talk. Now, obviously, it's more expensive the further back you go, but it's a very reasonable price for a township board to start fresh and to know where everything's at. Many large companies do this. When a key person from a company leaves, they have these audits done. Now, they call them entry audits. I'm not going to hide behind it. It's an actual forensic audit. They are former FBI. The company is FBI auditors. They're forensic lawyers and accountants. And I just feel that this is needed for us to start fresh, period, without any finger pointing. So you will hear about this in the future. The board will be getting my packet. I just got it from one of the companies out of 5 that we looked at. Only one of the companies does it in this manner. So the board will be getting these packets, and you'll see this on future agendas. So next issue, I'm going to have a public meeting probably, I'd like to do it in January, and the public meeting will be for all the business owners and anybody that's interested. Public meetings obviously are to the whole public, but this mainly is going to focus when the county bridge closes in March for a month, and I hope that we are owners of the toll bridge at that time. But in January, Derek and I have gotten together already and been working on different areas and items that will help you get the necessities onto Grosse Ile for your business out here. We don't want anybody failing for this month because of that. We're going to do everything we can, but I'm going to have that public meeting to present what we've done, what Derek and I have found, and what we plan on doing here to make that month, I'll explain it this way, as soft as we can for you. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be impossible because we own the bridge at that time. It's going to be a lot easier, obviously, for us to, if we didn't own it, we couldn't do anything for you. It would be up to the individuals that own the bridge. So I thank you, first off, the public, the 73% that voted for it, and I understand, the other 27% that voted no. I get it. I mean, you voted your conscience, and this is what life is about here in a democratic system. So, but I do appreciate we can move forward, and we will have that meeting, and obviously we're going to get that out as soon as possible, and it is open to everyone. The couple things that we're going to try and accomplish is to have a bridge advisory group, and we're not sure it's going to be a commission yet. We have our attorneys working on this, and we're going to have 2 advisory groups. One is just for the toll bridge, and one is for all other bridges on Grosse Ile, because we kind of gotten lost in, I guess the only way to put it, in kind of Wayne County's ways. That's all. We've kind of got lost, and we need a group that will stay on top of them. And we need a group, obviously, for the toll bridge that will oversee the business operations and so on and so forth for the toll bridge separate, and then all other bridges on Grosse Ile. So that will be coming up in the future very quickly, too. There are some meeting changes. I want to let you know that I think it's best that there was a public comment in the beginning last time and a public comment at the end. The public comment in the beginning, you can say whatever you wish on any item at any time that we're having something. If you have something to plug, if you have an event, your group has an event, please come down. It'll be right in the beginning of the meeting. It'll be very simple for you. We're going to have a public comment at the end. Same thing. You can comment on anything that has been said, or if you happen to come to the meeting later, you can comment on your group, your event, or anything else that you might not even be happy with the township. So we're going to give you the ability to do it twice. And the reason I feel this is important is that you can kind of think this is a little odd that we're sitting up here for a couple hours, but I really don't expect somebody that has a 3-minute plug for an event to sit through 2.5 hours if they don't want to. I understand that. I fully get it. This is a business meeting, but it is your meeting still too. It's not just ours. And it has been said, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is your meeting. The Grosse Ile taxpayers meeting is occurring right now. We have to get business done in this meeting. We understand that. But it's still your meeting to come up and comment. And we're going to do it at the beginning. We're going to do it at the end. The time is still going to be the same at 7 o'clock. We're not going to start earlier. I just believe it's important that people eat dinner with their families. They get home from work. You should be together. We shouldn't have an earlier meeting. Now, we have to come earlier sometimes, like today, and that's life. That's the way it goes. But that's what we signed up for. So I think all these things will encourage people to say more, to do more, and to be a part of this township a little more. And if we can do that for you, I have absolutely no problem with that. So those are the changes for the meetings. Those are the changes for the public comments. And we're starting tonight. And we will go from there. Now, there's other issues. I would let any of the board members now talk. If they want to say what they feel in their area or their area of expertise they would like to see, I want to give them a chance now. Who would like to start? Is there anyone that would like to even bring anything up? Oh, did I see Bill? Was it?
Yes, Mickey and I have both
Oh,
put our
Mickey?
hands up. Both of us, George.
Oh, Mickey, go ahead.
Ladies first.
I didn't raise my hand, but I'll go ahead and talk. So, so mine, I'm actually on the board of the Grosse Ile Nature and Land Conservancy. And now that I'm on this board, I'll also be on the Greenway Open Space Commission. So you can probably tell a lot of my objectives will be environment related, keeping our lake, our water clean, doing what we can to just maintain Grosse Ile and its beauty. And so a lot of mine will be related to that. I'll also be looking at the Fire Commission. I'm on that one as well to see, as I get to know more and more about them, how we can continue to provide quality services and even improve them in some ways. So, and that's it for me, Bill.
Thank you. Bill, did you want to go?
Yes, thank you. I have basically three main thoughts on my mind of where I'd like to see us put some emphasis. The first is this toll bridge purchase. There's a need there for one main reason. It's called control. If you look at it as a business decision, it will look a little warped because it isn't a business like a normal business would be. Another magic word in this is wait, not slow down and be patient, heavy. We need access on a reliable basis with redundancy for getting food into Kroger's that we can buy so we can have breakfast. And on it goes. An emergency fire truck if something burns really bad. Your trip on a ride in an ambulance if you've got a heart attack. If someone else were to own the bridge, there is no financial gain to them for the cost of giving that toll bridge redundancy. It would look like a bad investment. That person is investing in a business for his own welfare, not ours. That's the bottom line reason why this is going on. The first time I heard about the way this thing was unfolding, I was furious literally for a week. And I hadn't been that angry in years. And then I said, wait a minute, it doesn't matter how angry I am. These facts are here, they exist. You better settle down, we've got to deal with this. And I would like to hope that we can come to that understanding and make it work. The second thing I care about is public safety, and I'm very much in favor of making sure we have funding for that third police officer at night. There have been a couple of circumstances where that responding person has been of benefit to us. And when that happens to you and you're frightened for your own welfare or your property, it means a lot and you never forget it. I want to sustain that for people. And again, it's not that we don't have sufficient if everything goes right. But what happens if there's an accident with a vehicle on the way, or what happens whatever, some unexpected event, you need something for backup. And finally, I support firmly the idea that an audit is something that we need. When you plan for the future, you have to know where you are to begin with, so that you know how to plan to where you go. And with that situation, we need that because we have a lot of areas here where we have committed in the past, with all good intent, to financial obligations that we have to be able to fulfill, and yet there are other financial obligations that I think need to be fulfilled. I don't want to speak about specifics because I don't know. The audits are going to help us understand that. But then when you have that, you have an ability to set priorities, to pick and choose. I'm on the Planning Commission. I'm on the Commerce Park Commission. What I've said to people I've been talking to is that I don't have immediate plans for any goal for what's going on there. I have to know where I'm at with you people.
I'm not here to say I know what to do if I haven't had a chance to know you, to know what your concerns are, to know what the issues are. Your familiarity says you'd make a better choice than I would until I learn it. But I plan to be a representative of what those people think. I have a right to my own opinion, and I will express that. But I'm not going to use my opinion to override a commission. I'm not that way at all. I'll be fair and be a faithful guardian and representative of the circumstance. That's pretty much what I can say right now. Thank you.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Kevin, would you like to go next?
Thank you.
As a point of order, I think it would behoove for public comment and everything else for us to give our comments during our reports instead of ahead of all the public and the individuals here to give a presentation.
Good idea.
I mean, ultimately up to you. That's just my 2 cents.
Actually, I do agree with Jameson. I have some things to say too, but it can wait until our reports.
If we want to do that, that's fine. I just wanted for people to tune in first to see where we wanted to go with this board in the front of the meeting. So if you guys want to talk about during your trustees report or your other report,
Yeah, I'll hold mine until my report.
that's fine.
I will as well.
I have no problem with that.
I also have other points from my trustee reports.
Yeah. Kevin, what would you like to do? It's up to
That's
you.
fine with me.
It's up to you. Margaret, is that good?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right, then that's what we'll do. We'll let them in their own reports, include the township goals that they may have. So, what we can do now, we have to do, okay, we'll take care of that later. Okay, we have additions or deletions, to our agenda tonight. We have two. I can do it. That's fine. That's fine. We're going to add a presentation, Teresa, right? Correct? You're going to do the presentation on clear government budget software. That's separate. And then next one, though, we'll vote on it
second
separately.
that.
You want to second that?
Yep.
All right.
So
All in
we have
favor?
to add them individually.
What?
We have to add them in. So,
Yes. And we going to, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? We're good with that. Now, the action item, I'll say it again. The action item, we're gonna make item number 6, clear and government service contract to vote on.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that passes too. So let me put, number 6 will be clear government service contract, and in our presentation section will be Teresa, correct? We'll do the presentation for that. Okay. All right, I need a motion then to approve the agenda then as presented and amended.
So move.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that has passed. And now what we'll do is hear from Teresa, if you'd like to, you would like to do it at the podium, or so the people can see you? Thanks.
I am. How are you?
You should be good to go.
Okay. Good evening. So I'm actually not doing the presentation. About a year ago, I did my first budget, went through the budget process for the township. And our budget process is good. But going through it, I felt that it was time-consuming, there were inefficiencies, the collaboration was a little disjointed, couldn't get immediate answers. So I've spent almost the last year looking at some different options for the township. I've looked at under our policies, we have, because it's a service, we have the discretion to determine what would be best for the township without putting it out for bid. So I looked at a couple companies, and I really started looking into ClearGov. I think it's a very good company for the township. It has a lot of experience in the state of Michigan. It has a lot of experience with BSNA software. They are very committed to our success, and they work with a lot of small and medium cities and townships. So tonight for the presentation, I have Michael Lepore from ClearGov to do a quick 10-minute presentation on their products and what they can provide to the township as far as enhanced budgeting process for all our departments and transparency for our community. You all set, Michael?
I am. Thank you, Teresa. How are you this evening? Great to talk with you again.
Okay, so at the end of the presentation, if you have questions, you're not going to be able to ask Michael directly. I'll come back up and I can facilitate the questions for him. Okay, you're all set.
All right. Thanks, Teresa. Appreciate it. And thank you all for the time this evening. I know there's a lot of agenda items, and I know I just have a few minutes here. So, again, I appreciate your time and the opportunity to speak with you. My name is Michael Lepore.
Michael, just before you get into this, you need to talk a little bit louder.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely do that. Is that better? Make sure my volume's up all the way.
Now you're good.
Is that better, Brian?
Yep, that's perfect.
That's great. Okay. I was just thanking you all again for the time this evening. My name is Michael Lepore. I'm the Senior Solutions Advisor from ClearGov. I've been with the company for a number of years, and specifically have been working through the state of Michigan here for a while. Really excited to speak with you. ClearGov, we are the leading provider in budgeting software nationwide. We have 1,300 plus customers across the country. We are in all 50 states. Specifically in Michigan, we've got just around 30 or so city, townships, and counties already using our software. And that's not including the close to 10 or so more that from the school side of things, excuse me. Really seen a great swell from Michigan in the last couple of weeks. We've had some large folks, Muskegon County, City of Alpena, some other ones, City of Wyoming, City of Kentwood, all joined on board with ClearGov in just the last few weeks to use our software for their upcoming budget cycle. This evening, what I'm going to do is talk to you guys really about the three tools that myself and Teresa and Kevin as well have been speaking about and taking a look at. Give you a little background and show you a couple of live examples here as well. Certainly happy to talk and answer any questions that you may have going forward. You know, for ClearGov, again, we are a web-based tool that works extremely well with BSNA, not just through the state of Michigan, but across the country. We have numerous folks that use BSNA from a day-to-day and ClearGov from their budgeting perspective. When it comes to ClearGov, what you'll see here is what we call our budget cycle management suite. These are all of the differing tools that we offer. And I think what's great about ClearGov is our flexibility and our ability to really work with communities of all shapes and sizes. You know, for some, when I speak with them, they're looking for a full comprehensive, a full budget suite from the planning to the building to the presentation aspects. What's great, and really, again, what Teresa and I have focused on is our true a la carte menu, the ability to pick and choose, and whether it's begin with or really just focus in on a few tools. And for you folks, right, really what we're going to speak about are these three over here, our operational tool, our budget book, and our transparency. So what I'm going to do real quick is give you a little background on each, and then for these two, give you guys a couple of live examples that we're going to go through and take a look at. From the operational budget perspective, it really goes back to what Teresa is speaking about in terms of her process. Again, I speak with folks across the country, but heavily in Michigan, and I'd say close to 90% export to Excel and use Excel many times as their predominant tool to build their budget. That doesn't mean it can't get done, but the efficiency, the time that it takes, right down even to the accuracy and then overall presentation is much hindered many times. With our tool, you really have a centralized home base. The ability for Teresa or anyone on a finance committee board, or certainly the board that I'm speaking to this evening, to be able to easily sign into ClearGov and see what's going on. Whether that's on an annual basis, a quarterly, mid-year adjustments, the ability to come right in and have access right in front of you is immense. The ability for Teresa to more easily generate department worksheets, communicate back and forth with them in real time on their requests, and then for her to quickly and easily not just generate the overall budget for y'all to review, but many other detailed reports that are embedded and are included right with your ClearGov subscription. This operational tool, I always refer to it, anyone I'm speaking with, as your home base. This really is that centerpiece when it comes to a budgeting suite and really has enhanced a lot of that interaction, time, and presentation for folks when it comes to their budget. The next two tools really are the tools that we're focusing on with you all, for the immediate, right? The operational piece, I made the recommendation and Teresa understood and agreed, really that's for you all for next year, just in the sake of time, right? Where y'all are currently in your budget season. And as she said, your success is truly our success. We are judged based upon how successful folks like yourselves are and the communication of that throughout the state and the country. So for us, the goal for you all is to really enhance the presentation aspects, and that's going to be done in two senses. One is our digital budget book. This was really one of our starting tools a number of years ago and really changed the complexion and the presentation of budget documents. Here what we do is take all of your budgetary numbers and we actually build out charts, graphs, and spreadsheets. Obviously, as you can imagine, that is a huge time saver for someone like Teresa, who is wearing 15 differing hats, and all of that time that's saved is immense. It also then comes down to a nice presentation that you'll see in a moment. But I think what it really does is also allow a community like yourselves to tell your story. Many times when I look at a budget document online, it's numbers and someone might need a PhD to figure out how to sort through and figure out what they're looking at. Our tool is easy so that every resident can go on at any point in time, whether 7 a.m. or 7 p.m., and understand and take a look at your budget the way that they can understand it and read through it. The other tool that we're going to take a look at here in a moment is what we call our transparency portal. And this really takes your budget to the next level in terms of the presentation. And what I mean by that is certainly some of the financial information, our checkbook, right? Again, that open door. I call it the Wizard of Oz effect, really pulling that curtain back and saying, hey, this is what's going on. But a big thing here really is coming down to the project pages. And certainly for your community, I know the bridge project is a huge piece coming down the road. And it's one thing to say, okay, we've got this bridge project coming up for the next year, 3, 5 years. It's another thing to be consistently and communicating updates on that plan, both financially, timeline, management, and things of that nature. And that's really where the transparency portal can come into play. So what I'm going to do is just quickly go through, and I know I'm coming right up on time, but I always think it's great if I can show you guys a couple of live examples. I think it always makes it a little bit stronger look. So what I first have here is one of our longtime customers, right? The Charter Township of Bloomfield. This is their digital budget book. And again, what's nice about this is the navigation and presentation. Here again, as I come through, I can jump through and take a look here at their organizational chart, right? Again, trying to understand what that looks like. Or I can quickly jump into some of the financial areas. I've been into one of the village meetings here previously. They keep talking about a general fund. Well, let me take a read here in terms of what is the general fund, or fluctuations, or why things have been changing here, or what's included. Down below, you'll see that interactive charts and the amount of years you want to show, prior years, future projection years that our tools allow is, again, in control of you all and Teresa. But all of these that you see are interactive, but built by us. So again, that time saving as well as the presentation component behind it. Couple of other nice pieces, folks can actually deselect on these. So again, some of these smaller sections that might be missed are now easily and more quickly understandable from anyone that's taking a look here. And we also include spreadsheet breakdowns. Listen, we understand that the colors are great and the interactivity certainly will hopefully draw folks in for you. But at the same time, that traditional presentation is certainly needed as well. This ties in, same thing for department pages, right? If I go into their treasurer's office, again, you can see Michael here with his little message, as well as some of their financial information specifically for their department here as well. And lastly, this can be printed. Everything that we do can also be printed. So certainly you get the web-based presentation, but we also format and create a PDF document for you here, whether it's all pages or you'd like to select the individual ones. The last tool, and then I'll stop and check in, and I hope it's okay that I'm running through this. I thought it might just be the easiest presentation, is the transparency portal I spoke of. And certainly, again, I think what this does is enhance that budget information, the financial information. But I think what really gravitated Teresa and Kevin to this component is, again, the immediate use that y'all could have with the projects page. Here again, right, for every project, not just your bridge project, but every of them can be listed. Pins can be dropped on that location map that, again, any resident, any board member can go and access at any point in time. As folks want to select that, now you can provide updates, certainly any text updates, right? And you can share these. Folks can subscribe to be updates. So if it's road work, for example, and they want to be informed, they can do that with an email. You can drop images here that, again, can be scrolled through what it's supposed to look like or as the project is underway. Supporting materials, again, that pin on the location. And then we get down to the financial components. What is the projected? What are the expenditures up to the dates here? What does the management look like? Even allowing folks to have that dialogue with you in terms of submitting questions right here on these individual projects. There are other components to this as well, and certainly, again, I'm happy to speak to them. You know, things like folks being able to come into the expenditures side of things and seeing dollar for dollar exactly where their tax dollars are going here, as well as things like a checkbook. And again, just because I'm showing it does not mean you have to do it, not mean you'd like it, not mean that the community wants it. But again, certainly I hope I'm providing you the differing options that a tool like this does have and offer you here. So I know I'm right up on the time. 10 minutes goes rather quickly, as I've learned in doing these in the past. I appreciate the time and the walkthrough, and now I'll kind of stop and see certainly if there are questions out there. You know, my closing remarks would just be, you know, in speaking with Teresa and Kevin, I know a big goal for this community is that transparency, right? And that ability to share and disseminate the information and really tell the story and show the work that is being done. And we really think here at ClearGov that we help kind of tell that story, you know, help you guys tell that story.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Before you go, is there any questions from the board, though? Does anyone have any questions?
I definitely have some.
But
Margaret, go ahead.
So I want to just say that was a really great presentation. You really covered a lot of the, you know, what I consider big highlights with respect to software. Just one of I have a bunch of questions and you covered most of them. So just one of them you didn't, I don't think, touch on was security. How do you guys manage your security?
Yeah, great question. So I had also provided Teresa with a packet that goes into greater detail, but certainly I'll hit upon that. We are AWS web-based. We have the same security as the federal government. In the packet that I know I passed to Teresa that maybe in your council packet, it goes into immense depth. To be honest, depth that's over my head in terms of the IT and security side of things. But again, in that packet, it goes through in great detail exactly how we are extremely secure. And again, if that's not readily available, I'm happy to provide that as again, it'll just speak to it in greater depth than I can.
Okay, I'm sure I must have missed it, and we had a lot of things to look through, so that's on me.
I'm sure.
The other question is, and I'm sure it's also in there, but help desk support. The only thing I'm curious about that is, because I'm sure you're providing it, is who provides that? Like, do you have a site here in the U.S. or is it, you know, out of the country? But how do you provide help desk support?
Yeah, so great question. So we are U.S. based. Our main office is in Maynard. We have continued to expand. I've been with the company for a little over 5 years now, and just the growth has been immense. Everything is in-house, so we don't farm anything out, whether it's inside of the U.S. or outside. The way we operate, to give you even greater depth in terms of your question, we assign you from day one what we call a client success manager. This individual is with you from day one throughout your contract, whether that's 3 years, 5 years, hopefully y'all continue to renew. This individual knows your goals, your timelines. When new folks come on board, helps to set up the training materials and pieces to get those folks up to speed. We certainly do Zoom trainings for many trainings, as well as we have online portals, right, that have tutorials where a police chief, for example, can go in, put in his or her title, and we will choreograph that training for them. What's great about that is it doesn't force everyone for a 4 o'clock Zoom training that, inevitably you're going to have folks miss, right? Instead, just the opposite. Now, not just year one, but maybe year 3, they need a refresh. And now in real time, as maybe they're submitting a budget request, they can actually watch that video and take them step by step. Our training program has won many awards in terms of our ease of use. And I think, a lot of this goes back to what Teresa said at the outset. We pride ourselves on working with, kind of small to mid-sized cities and counties. Our sweet spot is really 20 to 40 million, right where y'all fall. So again, a lot of what we do is geared for folks like yourselves.
So 2 more questions, and then I'll let those guys go. But I think you touched on this, but I'm assuming this is going to allow each department head or each department to input and build their own budgets. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I didn't go into a ton of depth just based upon the time, right? I didn't want to go too deep, but just to give you the 5-second overview.
No, that was perfect.
We're an unlimited user base, right? So we don't cap or charge per user, things like that. Each department, and even if there's directors or supervisors, as many folks as you'd like to have access can have access. We'll get them all trained up as much as they would like. So, no issues there. That piece certainly is going to be immense for you guys later on, right? That submission piece, that was that first side, that operational budgeting piece. And what's great about that is the timeline that we are talking there. There's plenty of time to get folks comfortable, right?
Perfect.
A big reason why I didn't push Teresa early on to do this right away was I want her to have the right experience, and I think timeline that bodes better.
And so you also touched on this, and I just want to confirm, let's say each department head, they can't be in the Zoom call for training. You guys can work with them separately as they are available to, to do their budgeting input. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And that's
Excellent.
really why we set it up in that capacity, because inevitably, whether it's 3 department heads or 15, you try to have one call for all of them. 2 of them have family things, somebody else has this, somebody's late, right? It just is not conducive. Plus, everyone learns at differing speeds and paces. So certainly that online piece, the videos, the trainings, we provide webinars monthly. We have an immense kind of library and catalog for training materials.
Awesome. And then my very last question, I promise.
You're fine.
So you mentioned versioning. Like I would, in the software I use, we call it revisioning, but it depends on what you're doing. So does that mean that, okay, here's my version of the budget for this month, and I like it, but I'd like to try something else and create something new. Can I go back to that original revision, if you will?
Yes.
Yes.
So
okay.
I love your question, and it's a great one. And inside of the operational tool, we have a save button, right? And not to diminish it, because I think it's extremely powerful. Versioning in an Excel world is very difficult, because that Excel document most of the time is your final document. And if you're making a change to that, it better be correct, right? And you don't want to tinker with it. You don't have a true sandbox, if you will. Our version allows you to save just that, a snapshot, but continue to create differing versions. You'll have the ability to create projected years as well. And we actually also provide end-of-year projected columns based upon your prior year's budgets that has that AI built in the background. So a lot of kind of great aspects readily and right at your fingertips.
Okay, that was it for me. Sorry.
I have one.
Thank you very much for the
Yep,
questions.
thank you.
Just one. I mean, you've answered everything else I had. written down. But this is gonna be real-time data, correct? So when the department managers, after they enter their stuff into the system and they finalize it, it's real-time, everything's updated, and we can go in any time to see this? I just want to confirm
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, great question. Absolutely. So real time in the sense of when a department head is signed into ClearGov on their side of things, they submit real time, right? It goes back to the master file, right? The chart of accounts, the home base there for Teresa or any board member here that has access. The way we work with BS&A, which might also be where you're getting to, is on a push-pull, import-export. I've already gone through that in terms of the reports that we need, and it's the same ones that Teresa is working on now. And to be, just fully transparent why we operate that way, that was a decision, one, to keep costs down. It's a way for us to keep costs down. Again, we work with a lot of small to mid-sized cities, counties, villages, and townships, and we're cognizant of cost. We truly are. The other piece, too, is it allows for Teresa, when it's the BS&A data or when the ClearGov budgeting data is ready, for her or for you all to control when you want that to go back and forth. But in terms of the budget cycle, yes, when an action is taken on the department head side of ClearGov, it is in real time back over to the master side of things for Teresa or anyone looking at that to take a look at.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So I have two questions. One
Sure.
would piggyback on Mark's, which is, so I know I'm familiar with push-pull as far as software goes.
Yep.
So as an example would be like the open checkbook. So the data on ClearGov is really only as good as the people inputting it on the back end, correct? So if nobody's loading checks into ClearGov, there's not going to be a check register on our public-facing website, correct?
Correct. I mean, yes, right? Like anything, we're going to take from that day-to-day operation, those inputs as well, but that is correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that this I see a lot of times where people develop a system and we got to do this thing for the system, but it actually, people end up working for the system and generating more work instead of the system making less work. So,
Yep. And certainly the checkbook is one of, I would say, and certainly I have it pulled up here, and I wanted to highlight that. Certainly I would say that the checkbook, yes, is, out of everything that I've discussed and spoke about this evening, is the piece, to your point, that, you would certainly have to manage the most, right, in terms of the consistency on the update. Projects, for example, most of the time what we see is like a monthly update, right, which, again, you want to tell that information. When I'm speaking more about the push and pull, certainly it's on the budget book side of things as well as the operational budgeting side, right? And again, it's certainly not more work in the sense of it's the same reports that Teresa's having to get out now. We onboard the data, so she doesn't have to. There's no keying in of information day one or year three. And so I guess I'll leave it there.
okay. So is there any kind of analysis or AI that's going to show us trends and develop like a year-end sort of presentation or anything? Or is it pretty much just, the data that's in there is what's in there and there's no analysis?
No, as I was just mentioning earlier, right, one of the pieces, the way that we start off, the first piece is that, if y'all, hopefully partner up with us here, the initial first two pieces I, introduce, and we have a team meeting with Teresa, with the folks on our side, her client success manager and our data manager, right, that's going to work directly with her day one going forward. And our first pieces are mapping to the chart of accounts and prior year's data. Okay. So how the chart of accounts has been...
Sorry, that kind of answers my follow-up question, which was essentially, Are you guys sending a launch team? But it sounds like you are, so.
Yep, not on site, but we're certainly, hands-on through Zoom meetings and through checklists and things of that nature.
Okay, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Absolutely. I wanted to just hit upon the prior years, the projected piece. The reason I brought up the data is we would like as much prior years data. If it's 5 years, great. 7 is better. 10 is better than that. The more prior years data, the better, because one of the pieces that we do provide is an end of year projected column that is based upon your last 5, 7, 10 years of budget information.
No. Well, I think we're all set then. The rest of the board said they don't have any questions. Teresa, what we'll do also unless you want to say something, during the action item, you're going to have a chance to give your opinion, your comments during the history of this and anything you want to talk about, if that's okay. and then we'll vote on that on the action item. Unless you have something now, then however you feel. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that informative presentation, and we'll be voting on that a little later on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody's time. Look forward to hopefully working with y'all going forward.
Very welcome.
Told you it was
Mike, not Greg.
You said Greg. I said Mike.
All right, next will be public comment. Remember, this is any topic, 3 minutes on anything you'd like to talk about. Does anybody wish, I'm sorry that podium's only these 3 young people there. Well, you good? Oh, Kathy, did you have? Come on up. Yes, any topic.
Kathy Walker, 26051 Thorpe Court. I just want to say congratulations. I'm so happy that we have a new board. I wasn't happy with the old one, but really happy that, and I hope you guys have a very successful time. And you listen to what the people say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I just can't see, I'm sorry. Gentleman there, young man. Are we good?
Just me. Brian has one.
Brian, yeah, you can read yours now, whatever you like.
Okay, I just have one. Kyle Beausset, West River Road. I'm traveling for work and will not be able to attend tonight. If I could, I'd be there to congratulate and thank you all, including Mr. Craig Bilecki, for the kindness you all showed me during the campaign. Of the thousands of eligible residents in Grosse Ile, only 9 of us put our names out there to be voted into the 7 seats that you all sit in today. While I mostly felt support for all of us who ran, I want to encourage over 3,000 residents who voted for me to consider supporting every member of the current board in any way they're willing. Each board member is going to immediately confront historic challenges that will affect us all for generations to come. The township needs support from residents in any way that we can offer it. In that spirit, I want to speak directly on the Wayne County Bridge closure expected in the spring, which all residents need to start preparing for now. Assuming the township will release guidance for us on things like getting toll bridge passes ahead of time so that we're all well prepared, I want to speak specifically to residents who already feel well prepared. If any resident feels they should be able to weather a 1-month Wayne County bridge closure relatively well, I encourage those residents to consider donating to the Grosse Ile Firefighters and Goodfellows Association. I don't know of any organization better equipped to support Islanders who might have trouble with a 1-month bridge closure than the Grosse Ile Goodfellows. Every resident should have gotten their holiday appeal in the mail, and I encourage residents to donate as generously to them as they can. Islanders did a great thing by voting to buy the toll bridge and to take the destinies into our own hands. Still, we have a long way to go before we can sit back and expect public officials and employees to handle everything for us. There are things we can all do to make sure we come out of this stronger than we're going into this. I believe donating to the Grosse Ile Goodfellows ahead of this upcoming bridge closure is one of those things. That is all.
Okay, thank you, Brian. No more public comment. Nobody else? Okay, very good. Kevin, would you like to read the consent agenda?
Good evening. The consent agenda, Township Board of Trustees, November 6, 2024 minutes. Check register, invoice register for 12/9/24, presented at the board meeting. Approval to process and distribute payments through January 3rd, 2025. Clerk statutory duty delegation. Wayne County annual maintenance permit package approval. Resolution to approve the 33rd District Court budget. And resolution to accept, revitalization and placemaking grant application. And,
Second.
I have one question, Brian, because one is a resolution. Does the entire have to be a roll call? Well, that's fine.
Yes, it does.
Yes, that's what I thought. Okay, very good. Okay, so we have a second on that. What we'll do is to approve the consent agenda 24-065. I will then ask for a roll call vote. We'll do it this way. Margaret?
Aye. Yes.
No. Kevin?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Jameson?
Aye.
Mickey?
Joe, I need to comment on that because Wayne County is in the mix. I need to disclose.
Okay, so then we need to recuse you from
No, not for this one, no.
Okay.
But I just need to let everybody know that I work for Miller Canfield now, that Wayne County is a client. That because Miller Canfield doesn't benefit in any way by this action, I'm able to vote. However, just to avoid anything in line with State Bar ethical code, I am screened from all Wayne County work at the firm. So you'll hear me say this from time to time just because of our Miller Canfield is a long-standing firm that has a lot of clients. And so from time to time, I'll let you know if there's a conflict or if they're even a client. But I do vote aye on this.
Okay, William?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So the motion's approved. You have that all, Brian? All right, motion approved. Next, so we'll start the action items then. The first one, Axon Taser purchase. Margaret, you gonna handle that?
Yep. So, I'd like to recommend the Township Board, their approval for the purchase of 17 Axon 10 tasers for $78,499.20.
Second.
Right with the history?
Yes. So the Grosse Ile Police Department currently uses the Axon X2 ECW, which is electronic control weapons, or better known as tasers. The Grosse Ile Police Department purchased our current 19 tasers in 2012. In March of 24, Axon notified police agencies nationwide that Axon will no longer sell, produce X2s and will not provide extended warranties for current devices. So the GIPD has researched and determined that Axon Taser 10 is a suitable replacement for the X2. Currently, GIPD utilizes Axon as a sole source provider for body-worn cameras, in-car cameras, evidence room, and tasers. No other vendor in the nation sells the Taser 10. The purchase price includes all equipment, training, a 5-year warranty covering parts and service with no additional fee. So Axon will purchase the existing 19 GIPD X2 tasers, which the buyback discount is reflected in that full price. Another thing I really want to point out is that the financial impact, this is coming from federal forfeiture funds, and so we are not impacted.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Hey, Margaret, I don't know if you know, I know Chief's back there just in case, but is there a recertification requirement because these have different capabilities?
Yes,
So
there
yes,
is.
there
Okay,
is.
Yes,
Good.
there is.
Provide training for our current taser officers. When we purchase these, they're gonna sit while those guys get trained, and then the department will go through the training.
Okay.
Well,
So,
for those who, Doug,
The
wasn't
training.
on a mic, yeah, they will be trained on these.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Bill.
When I read through that material, there was, and I forget the exact number, but there was a greater number of the old model than the new ones that we're purchasing. I think the difference was 3 units. Is that to save money? I mean, if we were to get another police officer at night and firm up, would he need some of that backup? Why is this reduction being in there?
Chief's raising his hand.
So
Chief, come on up to the mic, Chief. We want everybody at home to hear you.
Congratulations on your new positions. To answer your question, the way the service agreement goes with Axon, currently we have 16 officers. We're hoping to get a 17th at some point. The way the warranty goes, if they smash or break one, they replace it. So we don't need to buy spares. That's basically what it kind of comes down to.
That reduces our need for investment. I mean, they're not inexpensive.
Oh, they're not cheap, but like just like our body cams, we've had a couple that got broken. They replaced. We got it within a day, a new one, and there's no extra cost. It's just that's part of the warranty.
Nice to know it's prompt.
Oh, they're pretty quick so far. We haven't had for the
Thanks.
tasers, but with tasers we have parts laying around the building. The X2s, those are kind of like our fix-it parts. We don't have to do that now. So, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Other questions? Thank you.
Okay, no other questions? Then Axon Taser purchase, all in favor?
Aye.
Pose? Okay.
So, the second request is to recommend to the Township Board approval for the purchase of Axon Evidence Redaction Assistant User License Software for $7,500, and this is for a 5-year contract. So, Grosse Ile Police Department.
Oh, hold on, we need a second.
Oh, sorry.
Second that.
Okay. Mark, thank you.
So, the Grosse Ile Police Department currently has one person assigned to the Records Bureau. The Records Bureau fulfills many important tasks that assist in the department's daily operations. One such task is redaction of documents, body-worn cameras, and in-camera videos to create transcription and redact reports. A large amount of officers' encounters are documented in video. This requested Axon Evidence Redaction Assistant User License Software will be used on redaction of videos and production of video transcripts. This product interfaces with our current Axon platforms and uses AI-powered workflows that will save time. Once parameters are established, the program blurs faces, redacts unrelated voices, and creates transcriptions of verbal conversations. The records clerk can work on other tasks while this program operates in the background. The Axon Evidence Redaction Assistant User License Software will cost a total of $7,500 for a 5-year contract. And again, we'd request immediate approval, but the financial impact for this is the same. Federal forfeiture funds will be used.
Okay, very good. Any questions from the board? No questions? Okay, action item number 2, Axon software purchase, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay, number 3, Kevin.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, let's do this first.
Okay. So again, because I work for Miller Canfield, I have to follow the state bar rules. And in this case, because Miller Canfield is supporting the bond purchase, I am actually going to ask the board to vote on recusing me from the vote, in which case I'll step down until discussion and the vote are over with.
A motion to recuse Mickey.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay.
So really quick, I think isn't the first item the Bazinski, and I don't think, wait a second. I don't think you need to be recused from that one, Mickey.
You know what I do, because
Yes.
the fact that we are engaging their services means the bond purchase is going through, and Miller Canfield is supporting that. So once this agreement goes through, we'll benefit from our agreement and the representation on it.
Okay, so both of them then, okay.
Yeah, yep. Thank you for bringing that up, though.
We do need to do it separately, though. The vote will be separate for 3 and 4.
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
So Joe, I can speak on 4, just not 3.
That's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Need to remove yourself from the room?
No, I can sit down here.
That's fine. I don't have a problem you
I
sitting
had
here.
long conversations this past week
Do
about
whatever,
it.
then whatever you're comfortable with and what's necessary.
Okay.
Okay, then Kevin, why don't you read approval of engagement then?
Approval of engagement of Budzinski and Company Bond Advisors. The recommendation, the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby authorizes the contracting with Budzinski and Company to serve as the township's municipal finance advisor for the issuance of $21,845,000 Township of Grosse Ile, County of Wayne, State of Michigan, 2025 unlimited tax general obligation bonds.
Second.
Jameson, seconded. Okay. Kevin, go ahead if you want to read any of
You
that.
want to have the whole history?
Brian, is it a summary that Derek can give, or the reading of the entire?
No, it's completely up to you guys what
Then
gets
we'll do
read
a
into this.
summary, if that's okay.
That's fine if that's the route you want to go. Sure. So the motion was read, so that satisfies the motion requirement. As far as what we're going into now is a history, purpose, and explanation. Bazinski and
Yes, Jameson did.
Bazinski and Company would serve, if this is approved, as our financial advisors for the issuance of the debt associated with the toll bridge purchase and toll bridge engineering work that is required to be done for the upgrades and maintenance that's necessary for the Grosse Ile toll bridge. As is listed in the history, purpose, and explanation, Bazinski and Company provide a variety of different services for the bond issuance. One of the main ones being helping the finance department to prepare for our rating that's required to be done by a rating agency for the issuance of bonds, and essentially taking the bonds to market and competitively bidding them to receive the most competitive rates. Stephen Hayduk is in the audience from Bazinski and Company, and if it's okay by the board, it'd probably be worthwhile to provide him an opportunity to speak with the board, and he can go into depth with more of the services that Bazinski and Company provides for this bonding. Is that okay?
No, that's fine. Sir, if you want to come on up to the,
Good evening. As Manager Thiel said, my name's Stephen Hayduk. I'm with Benzinski and Company. So my firm has been providing municipal advisory services since 1976. Bobby Benzinski, who's still with the firm, has been around practicing since 1977. And I believe, looking back at our records, his first deal that he worked on with the township was in 1982. And we've worked with the township as recently as 2023 with the capital improvement bonds for wastewater treatment plant and road projects, as well as the airport hangar roof. What we really do is work with the township to develop revenue sources to meet the repayment on the debt service on the bonds, take the township through the rating processes Manager Thiel spoke about earlier, and structure the bond issue to get the most advantageous rate, prepare the offering documents, which will be provided to potential investors, which is like a prospectus for securities, stocks, and then prepare the final numbers and get the township to close and deliver the funds.
oh, wait. Yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you for that explanation. Is there any other questions or comments for this? If you could stay there, please. We would be asking you as opposed to, if that's okay. Bill, go ahead.
I had opportunity to review some of the information on the proposal that you have, and the bond issues come in layers. You know, and the closer to the interest rate goes up. And I learned that at the same time, when a bond is paid off, if you take that cash flow and lay it against the higher interest rate, you pay it off quicker. Or maybe there's an opportunity to get a lower interest rate on the longer term bonds at some future date. Within that area of thought and administration, do you provide service that monitors that for us, or do we have to do that ourselves?
I'm not completely sure. You're talking about the different interest rates by maturity.
Correct.
And the longer you go out,
Right.
the higher the interest rate
If
is.
you have a 5-year, I'm making up an example here, a 5-year 2% loan, when that 5 years is up, you've got cash flow for that 2% you could put against a 3 or a 4% loan, and it would go down quicker.
Well, so these bonds you won't be able to call these bonds or pay them off early for 10 years. But what we did is we're assuming two issues. So the first issue is $21,845,000, and then we assumed a second issue of $37,000, the remaining under the authorized voted bond issue. And then we layered those two together and structured it so that you would have a roughly level millage throughout the life of the bond issue. So taking into account growth in the tax base of the township and the interest rates and the two bond issues structured together, that when you look at the debt service against the taxable value of the township, it would be roughly equal each year, assuming that our assumptions are correct.
I understand that. So the way it's represented, there's a built-in administrative factor in there already to keep the payment equal.
Yes.
In my mind, what was going on was if you've paid off a 2% loan over 10 years or whatever it is, your bonds payments that are due, holding everybody equal, would be lower.
I'm still not sure I follow the
Okay,
question.
just think of a stack of loans every 2 years at, say, $10,000, and the payment on one that's 2 years is going to be lower than one on 4 years because the interest rate's different.
Right.
Pay the 10 years off, or make it, excuse me, the first one, the one set that's 10 years, there's the others that are something longer than that, and that's why the interest rate is higher. Maybe I didn't make that clear.
You can't pay them off at different times though. So each maturity you have to pay it off serially as the years go on.
I understand that. I was talking about the fact that if you had freed up cash flow on a 10-year bond because it was paid off, you could apply it against a 30-year bond that's now a 20-year bond and pay it off quicker.
You're talking about like a debt snowball bill, where you take the money you were putting on the 10-year bond and roll it into the 30-year bond and keep paying off stuff?
Yes, conceptually that's it. I've never heard of a debt snowball, but I guess that's pretty cool.
I think what Bill's asking is, are you guys going to notify us if there's the opportunity for altered rates?
To refund it? So we will look at refunding opportunities or refinancing opportunities if interest rates go down.
Yes, that's what I'm talking
Okay,
about.
all right.
That's part of what I'm
Yes,
talking about.
yes. So we will be looking at that. You generally, like I said, you won't be able to call them or pay them off early, which includes refinancing until 10 years.
But after 10 years, we have opportunity to administrate. How's that? We'll use the word administrate these
Sure.
bonds
Yeah,
in the manner you've discussed.
We will look at refunding opportunities if interest rates are lower once the bonds are callable, and it makes sense that you can cover all the fees of refinancing the bonds, and there's a savings to the township. We would present that to the township.
I think that's important. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for this gentleman? Nothing? Okay. For the action item then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help. Thank you for your help.
Too smart for your own good, Bill.
Sorry. Okay, Kevin, you got the next one too, I believe.
Yes, authorization to issue bonds for the Grosse Ile Bridge purchase and engineering. And I'll let Derek do the
We have to have a second.
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 So the motion itself is actually a lengthy motion.
Resolution.
Resolution. So my question is, do they need to read the resolution into the record as written initially? I guess maybe Pat, no. So we can indicate that it's as written and included in the packet?
That's what I would recommend. You could say that the resolution as is contained in the township packet. Yes, and on file with the clerk.
Because of the length.
And
Thank
I
you.
think the language that I think you would want in the record would just be the language that's already been voted on, the ballot proposal, right? It's the italicized here on page 115, so.
Well, I think it's a whole thing. So it's your whereas, and therefore be it resolved that is your whole resolution.
Okay.
Is what was developed by bond counsel. So I don't think we need to read the full 3.5 or 4 pages worth of the resolution. It would just be the motion as submitted in the packet and on record with the clerk, and then there would have to be a second for that.
So we need a motion to do this, though.
Correct. So it would be a motion
Anybody want
to approve the
make a motion
resolution.
to?
So I move that this board accepts the resolution as written in the board packet for 9 December 2024.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? We have to take a roll call though on this.
Well, what we can do then is explain it now that the motion has been made, right?
Okay.
So now we can give you the history, purpose, and explanation.
Who, Derek, would you like to do that?
Absolutely. So I'm going to read the purpose and explanation here. The resolution, as written by Miller Canfield, in summary, basically permits the sale of bonds for the allowance of the purchase of the Grosse Ile Toll Bridge, as well as provides funds for engineering work to commence on the required bridge work that was expressed during the bond proposal that went before the residents on November 5th. A second series of bonds will be sold at a later date, which will be used for construction. Miller Canfield is in the audience tonight, so they can discuss that in depth. But in essence, the bond proposal, the one that is being presented to the board tonight, would allow, once again, for the purchase of the toll bridge, which the purchase price is $13.5 million. And the balance of that 21 million and some change is the engineering work that has been previously discussed. I guess, Pat, do you have anything to add?
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Pat McGow. I'm here from Miller Canfield. I have worked with the township as its bond counsel dating back to about 2010, so we've done a number of bond issues with the township over those years. I know that many of you are new tonight. This has obviously been a very important topic in this community, so I thought I might just give a little bit of summary on this bond issue and the structuring, and then what's in the resolution you have before you tonight. So as you all know, the voters approved a bond proposal at the November election to authorize the purchase of the Grosse Ile Toll Bridge and improvements to the bridge. The ballot language is contained in this resolution, which authorizes the issuance of bonds in an amount not to exceed $59,740,000. So when a community votes a bond issue like this, we have to include what's the maximum amount of bonds that can be issued, what's the purpose of the bonds, and what's the estimated millage impact. So the dollar amount was based on estimates that were produced during the last year or so based upon the expected purchase price, engineering and design work for improvements, and an estimate for the construction cost. We don't know what that number will be. So what we are doing here is having the bonds issued in two different series. So the bond issue, which is before you tonight, authorized by this resolution, would authorize bonds in the amount of $21,845,000. As the manager indicated, that's to cover the purchase price, the engineering, and the issuance costs related to the bonds. The schedule that we have would provide for the bonds to be sold sometime in January with the closing in February. So in February, if everything's approved and everything's on track, you would have the money available to pay the purchase price and to pay the design and engineering. The second issue of bonds is targeted to be issued sometime in 2026. It's expected that the engineering design process will take probably a year, and we want to wait until we know what those estimated costs are for the construction, and then we would come back to the board for the authorization of that second issue of bonds for up to the remaining amount of the authorization. So that's why we split this into two different issues. That also means that you're really only paying interest on the amount that you draw in this first year, and you are also allowed to invest that money and earn interest earnings on that while it's being spent. So again, the size of this first issue is really based upon the purchase price and the engineering that's expected to be done over the next year or so. The resolution authorizes the bonds, which were approved by the voters, and then this is the only action item by the Township Board related to the authorization and the sale. So what the resolution does is it authorizes the bonds to be issued in that amount and authorizes a competitive public sale of the bonds. This is the same process the Township has used for most of its bond sales, most recently in 2023. And so the way that works is after the resolution's been approved, the Township administrative staff, the financial advisors from Benzinski and Company, and Miller Canfield attorneys will work to put together the documents to sell the bonds. So there will be an official statement which will contain financial information about the Township. The Township will have that presented to a rating agency to obtain a rating that will then allow the bonds to be marketed and sold. The way a competitive bond sale works is that there is a date and time that the bonds are for sale. The entire bond issue has to be purchased by one purchaser. So it ends up being a large financial institution or a bank working with financial institutions. You are required by law to award to the bidder that produces the lowest interest cost. So there's really no discretion. It's either award to the lowest interest cost or you have to reject all bids. So this is really designed to give you, essentially the lowest cost of funds in order to finance the project. So the resolution delegates authority to the township manager, finance director, and/or supervisor to take those necessary actions. There are some things that need to be done in connection with the award, and this essentially authorizes those officers. The township clerk and treasurer also have responsibilities with the issuance of the bonds. This essentially authorizes those actions to be done in one resolution here tonight so that the township can move forward with the bond sale. So that's kind of in a summary what you have here before you. This resolution is long. The things that are in it include the form of the bond, the form of the notice of sale, and then the authorization to do these various things to allow you to issue and sell the bonds so that you will have the money available for the project. So with that, I'll stop talking and answer any questions that you may have about the resolution or the bonds themselves.
I have one, but does anybody from the board have any questions? Hold on then. Hold on. Let me get this one out of the way first. And sir, I'm not sure if it's for Derek, Teresa, or maybe you as the attorney. You said when we obtain the money, we can put it in an interest-bearing account. And that interest-bearing account by law, can that be put and kept in the general fund, or must it go towards this project?
Great question. So the answer is the bond proceeds and any investment earnings on those bond proceeds have to be spent on the construction acquisition costs of this project. It cannot be used for any other purpose. And that will be one thing that the finance director and the treasurer will have that in the money in an account.
A separate fund, obviously.
Separate fund, and it can only be invested in things that are authorized under your investment policy, which are going to be very safe and secure.
Whatever it is, even if it's just in the bank.
And yes, and they're required to track those investment earnings, and that will be used and available for the construction and acquisition costs.
And it can be added to the project as actually, it's I don't want to use the word free money, but it's extra money.
It's not. It is something that is taken into account in funds that will be available for the project.
Yes. Thank you. That was helpful. Okay, Bill. This is good.
I've basically got two questions because this involves two things. One is the purchase price of the bridge, and the other is the engineering and what it involves. And to my best understanding, we have been yet unable to advise the public of what they're getting for what they voted on. And we've also talked at the same time about a need for transparency. Now, I'm not sure whether you have comment that helps us or whether we have to deal with this as another amendment to the, but I'd like to know when we would be free and clear to tell the people exactly what they're paying for the bridge, and then explain why and how long it's going to take for the engineering piece to get its act together and what it will be addressing. Are you able to speak to some of that?
I can, although I think maybe...
I don't think he can, Bill. No offense.
Well, I was going to direct it to the manager as far as the first item, which was the price. I think that's public information.
So to answer your question, the purchase price, as mentioned earlier, is $13.5 million. So the $21.5 million that's built into this original, or the first bond, it considers that $13.5 million to make sure that we have the funds to be able to pay for the purchase. And then we have an engineer's estimate for the engineering work associated with the work that will happen to the bridge that the second bond will be for, and that estimate is $8 million. So that has been built into the $21.5 million initial proposal. In addition to that are the bonding costs, which have been built into the proposal that you see before you tonight. So there's actually three components to the $21.5 million. Those are the three: the engineering estimate, the purchase price, and the bonding expense. The additional information, as it becomes available, as the NDA allows us to, as the closing takes place, we will release as much information as we can. Matter of fact, on our website right now, we've put schedules that the residents can go to view when additional pieces of information will become available, and they can view them. We've also modified the website Brian has to reflect the change now from a bond proposal to toll bridge information. So we will continue to update that website as that information becomes available. But as of right now, there are schedules on there that shows when information will be available to the residents and what that information is.
By chance, on the engineering piece, is there any information about what, at least in areas of attention, the engineering would address?
Yes, that information should be available. We have to go through the engineering report because it is a public facility. There are some security concerns. For
Yes.
example, we don't put information out about our water main systems that could potentially open them up to, contamination if somebody wanted to go that route, wanted to compromise our drinking water. So that report will have to be reviewed for any sensitive information, and some items might have to be redacted that aren't permissible under FOIA, but eventually that information should become available. But also on top of that, our engineers will be developing specifications, the engineers that we select, specifications for the work that has to be done on that bridge. And generally that information is public as well. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. We're soliciting bids on this work and that work. It should be a complete document that people should be able to view, because it would be a public document because it's going to be a public bid, which will show exactly what work will be done on that bridge. So,
Thank you for that.
thank you.
Any other questions from the board for this gentleman or for Derek?
For Derek. I just want to go ahead and clarify. So the $8 million that's being brought forth now is not going to be just giving to an engineering company. This is for people to viewing on TV and so forth. I've had some questions. So that's going to be basically on a draw basis, right? You're not just going to go ahead and turn over $8 million to somebody for the engineering of the bridge, right? That's going to be set aside for a draw basis and paid as needed, correct?
That is correct. And,
Okay.
and the $8 million is an engineer's estimate. So we went to engineers to determine, what the expected cost would be to engineer this project. That's where the $8 million is coming from. It's basically a placeholder, okay? So, and the engineering services, it sounds like there's general consensus, at least the conversations I've had, that we're going to make a decision on this, but to openly bid those engineering services to try to get the best price for the engineering work that we're going to have to do on that bridge. Now, the $8 million, it's eligible to be utilized for construction as well. So let's say engineering comes in at $7 million and we bonded for $8 million in engineering work. We just don't give an engineer the $8 million. That $1 million, let's say it came in at 7, that $1 million would then be moved over to construction. Once we bid engineering, we know exactly how much that's going to cost. We can then potentially reduce the second round of bonding to take into account potential savings that we had in engineering. So that's another reason why we're bonding this in two separate, issuances.
And anything that's brought in, as Derek stated, that, let's just use the word for lack of a better term, is left over, can be used for this project in another place. So engineering can be used for upgrade, construction later. So anything that we bring in that we don't use up front can be still used in the latter part.
Yeah, let me say that a little bit differently. So the bond proposal talked about what the proceeds would be used for, and it was described as being for the purpose of paying all or part of the cost to acquire the Grosse Ile toll bridge and construct renovations and improvements to the bridge together with all related site improvements. So the idea is that you can use the money to buy it and make repairs to it. So let's take your example, and of course the engineering that's related to that. That didn't need to be stated, but that's part of the costs of the bridge. So what happens if you have leftover money? Well, that's one of the reasons that we're waiting on the second issuance, is to try to know what those costs are. But the money can only be spent for improvements to the bridge.
Right.
When we issue the bonds, there's a tax law that says that you have to reasonably expect to spend all the proceeds of a bond issue within 3 years. So that's another reason why we're doing this in two series. So let's say there is extra money after we're done with the construction. Hopefully, there's not too much, but any work done with that extra money would be something that could be spent within the 3 years after that second bond issue. So it's not like you're going to hold money for 15 years for something down the road. The idea is this money's going to be spent within a roughly 3 to 4 year period to make these improvements to the bridge.
Understood. Thank you for explaining that. And Derek, thank you for that explanation too. Are there any other questions from the board? Anybody? Nothing? Are you good? Okay, I thought you may have had some questions. I'm sorry. Okay, so on the action item then, we'll take a vote, and we do need, Brian, correct, don't we need a roll call? Yes. Okay, Margaret?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Joe? Aye. Jameson?
Aye.
Okay, Mickey has recused herself, and William?
Aye.
We're all set. Those both have passed. Thank you again, sir, for your time and your group. Mickey, you can come join us. Okay. Mark, do you want to handle 5?
Yes, I can handle it.
Thank
So,
you.
action item number 5. Motion to approve the Wayne County 2024-25 winter maintenance services. Pending the approval of the Grosse Ile Department of Public Services Commission, the Grosse Ile Township Board hereby approves the execution of an agreement with the Wayne County for the priority winter maintenance for services to local roads. The approval is for the 2024-2025 winter season and is at a cost of $18,736.56.
Need a second on that? Margaret seconded. Brian?
Okay, so do you want the history and purpose of this as well?
Yes, please, if
Okay.
you could.
So approval is contingent upon the endorsement of the Grosse Ile Department of Public Works Commission. Last year's cost totaled $19,110.16 for the comparison purposes, and the $19,958.89 for the previous year. This year's budget figure was $20,000. Please note the attached correspondence from the Wayne County, which provides a description of the services provided. In summary, the roads listed on the attached letter will receive the same plowing and salting services as our major roads, which are Meridian, East River, West River, Grosse Ile Parkway. Without the supplement of the roads on the list will not receive these services. And I can read off the list of the roads if you like.
That's okay.
Okay.
That's all right. We can add that to it.
All right. So
Okay, are there
motion-
any questions for, actually for Derek, myself, or on this item? Anybody have any questions on this item? Okay, so for, I'm just gonna say this. I thought I wasn't going to say anything, but with Wayne County, Doug being the police chief now, I know that they monitor tonight. When I was the police chief, we had our midnight shift monitor how fast Wayne County came out here for after snowstorms. For some reason, the majority of our storms really were mainly at night. So our midnight shift was asked to do this. And I have to admit, when we pay for this service, Wayne County is out here quicker. I understand, now wait a minute, we pay taxes, we get it, why don't we get it? Well, we're last on the list because Ford Road needs to be plowed. Ford Street needs to be plowed. Telegraph needs to be plowed. Any of the county roads in the major cities have to be plowed before they come out here. What they do with this is they have a truck or two assigned to us during the heavy snowfall. So I do say it works. I've seen it work. Our midnight shift, when I was there, it works. Doug, he's nodding his head, yes, it does work. When we have the heavy snows, they do have, I noticed they do it in tandems, and they are out here quicker, and I believe anything that will help these citizens get to work or just be safe. How about that? Just your kids going to school, you going to Macomb Street, just anything you do, if we can make it safer for your driving at this price, I think it's well worth it for all of us. So, any questions at all? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Hey, Joe, subject to my earlier comments, I vote aye. On Wayne County being a client. No laughing, Bill. I can't help it. We're a good firm.
So you said you can vote on this one?
Yes, and I vote aye.
Oh, that's fine. Good. All right.
And I need to change my seat now.
All right. Action item 6 that we added, that will be the ClearGov service contract. And Mickey, I have your name on this one.
You think it would be Kevin?
Who would like to read this one? Oh, what do we have here? Somebody have it pulled up on there? You don't need that? Give that down to Bill? No, we're good. We're good on this. Okay, anybody have it pulled up? They can read the motion then.
I'm pulling it up right now, but
You talk about the ClearGov, what's on the,
Yeah.
yes, I can do this.
Okay.
So, motion to approve the ClearGov budgeting and transparency setup and description services contract.
Second.
Now, hold on, we had the history.
All right. The history of this. So a budget goal of our finance director and the board of trustees is to provide a more efficient budget process for the township departments and the board of trustees, and to provide a higher level of transparency for the operational budgets of the township for the citizens of Grosse Ile and the general public. ClearGov will be providing the board with a 10-minute which they have. The 10 minutes of presentation they have already produced at the beginning of our meeting from Michael Lepore. After going through the extensive budget process for the current fiscal year, my apologies, areas that would be benefit from the nation, sorry. I just lost it. So I got it.
Your
The
efficiency.
proposed service contract is on a successful implementation with the ability of the digital budget book and transparency services for the upcoming budget process for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2026. This also includes converting prior year's data for comparisons. The full use of their operational budgeting software will be available starting midway through 25-26 fiscal year and will be fully implemented for the budget process for the ending year of March 31, 2027. I'm sorry, my computer's bouncing back and forth on me. That's the history of it, though.
End of it? Okay, are there any questions? Teresa, would you like to say, I would like to hear from you on this.
So it
there.
appears, based on the packet that I printed this morning, that you didn't get everything in the PDF. So that's what was just distributed to you. Most of it is information that Mike covered in his presentation. It actually included the service contract. As I shared before, going through this process a year ago, it's a great process because, every department is accountable for their budget, and who knows it better. But to put everything together and have me help the department managers and work together to efficiently prepare a budget is very difficult. Everything is siloed. There's individual worksheets for each department. I spent a lot of time putting things together for your budget book, and there's room for error. I spent a lot of time making sure there was no error, to make sure that you have everything ties out, everything's linked, everything flows. This allows us to be able to go through that process more efficiently. Everything is cloud-based, and budget books can be put together. Changes can be made very easily and especially in the general fund, to know the impact of making certain decisions. So after going through this process and looking at different companies, ClearGov seemed to be a really good fit for the size of the township, their experience in Michigan and with BSNA software. the township is currently going through, we had to update our entire chart of accounts to be in line with the Michigan Uniform Chart of Accounts. And I'm in phase 7 of 10 with BSNA to get that done. So we don't have enough time to fully implement this for this budget year, but they are proposing a cost of $9,335 for this fiscal year. It would be the one-time setup fee and a prorated cost to do the digital budget book and the transparency at the end of our current budget process. And then starting April 1st, we would start with fully implementing this process for hopefully midway through the year and certainly for the next budget process.
I just have a quick question for you on your comment right there. So it would start 25 May, June, or in that area?
So it would, it would start in March of '25 because you would see the digital budget book and the transparency for this budget. It's just our process for getting to that point will be the same process that's been done in the past. And then starting during the 25-26 year, we will implement the software, and department managers will be able to start using it so that by the time we're doing the budget process a year from now for March 31st of '27, we are fully implemented and the whole process will be through ClearGov.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any questions from the board for Teresa? Yeah, go ahead.
Teresa, as I'm listening to what you had to say in the presentation prior, I have the feel, I want to make sure I understand this, that this system would allow a manager or maybe the board, if we had the skill, the ability to create a model to basically in our planning say, what if I do this or what if I do that?
That's correct.
That's big stuff. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Joe, should I touch on the financial impact so people understand the cost of this in the viewing audience?
Whatever you like. I do like the idea that each department does have to pay a percentage. Obviously, it's not just coming from the budget of the township. Well, we are all of the township.
Well, it isn't long. If you don't mind, I'm just going to go and read it. That way everybody understands it. Everybody that's here and everybody's in the viewing audience can understand it without going to look it up right away. Or do you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. So the financial impact, this is the annual fees for these services will be allocated to various funds or departments under similar allocation for audit services, insurance, and computer technology. The cost of the year ending March 31, 2025 is $6,075. That's a one-time setup fee, plus a $3,260 3-month prorated subscription fee for the digital books. Sorry, my computer is not. For the digital books. Payments. So the subscription fee will be a total of $22,800 and will be incorporated into the department's budgets for the fiscal years ending March 31, 2026 through 2028.
All right, very good. Is there any questions for Teresa on this? Any other questions? None? Okay, for action item number 6, ClearGov service contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, pass. Very good, Teresa. Thank you for all your information.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're going to go to our reports now. The clerk's report. Jameson, you are?
I'm the clerk. Just kidding. I know I'm the clerk. So I'll keep it short and sweet. I know.
Derail me.
I just want to say welcome to all the new board members. I'm excited for this board term. I think we've got a great group of people up here, so hopefully we can do some really great work for Grosse Ile Township. I serve on the Recreation Commission, which met last week. and in a Santa-themed meeting. So if you'd like to see me wearing a leopard print Santa cap, you can find that on YouTube, apparently. And also the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which will not be meeting this month due to the holiday. Couple of the, I know we talked about goals. I'll keep it short and sweet. I wanted to see a citizen dashboard. That was something I thought was really important going into the last board term, and I couldn't generate enough political will for it. It sounds like Teresa has anticipated my desire, or perhaps even interpreted it, because I think this Clearview system is going to be phenomenal. So very excited about that. I think I've mentioned this before, and I know it looks like the police chief left the room, but I think we need to, I think we really need to research the viability and the demand signal of a school resource officer. It's important to me. I know it's important to a lot of other residents. And then looking over the master plan draft, there's a lot of things that stuck out to me that I'm not going to get into, just some data points and whatnot. But I think we need to discover a means, or at least find out if there's the will for some kind of revitalization effort at the recreation district, like Water's Edge and the Marina, which is a phenomenal asset for Grosse Ile that we maybe need to figure out how to make more available to the people and get the most out of. So the Bellevue connector, it should be going out for bid this year. It was supposed to get bidded already, which is the trail that'll run from Meridian along Bellevue Road down to the Water's Edge complex and then up to the bridge. The MDOT is dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's in that bid process because it's a whole regional bid. And I understand that they're being very methodical about it, so they're taking their time. So the delay in getting that bid process out has nothing to do with Grosse Ile or the grant money, and everything to do with MDOT wanting to do a really good job at it. And that concludes my report, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, sir. Kevin, treasurer, correct?
Thank you,
You're up,
Mr.
sir.
Supervisor. The 2024 winter tax bills have been mailed. If you have not received your tax bill, please contact the treasurer's office to confirm that we have the proper mailing address. Every property owner receives a copy of their tax bill. Mortgage companies that request a copy for their escrow loan accounts receive a duplicate bill or duplicate copy of the bill. 2024 tax bills are due February 14th, 2025. Eligible residents can apply for an extension of the winter tax due date of April 30th, 2025. Deferment applications are available by contacting the treasurer's office and outlining or online at grosseile.com. 2025 pet tags are now available at the treasurer's office. The fee is currently $6. Please bring certification of valid rabies vaccination when purchasing the 2025 tags. I'd also like to say thank you very much to Finance Director Teresa McLaughlin for bringing ClearGov to the board. And we had talked about open and transparent budgeting and the people's budget, and I think this goes a long way to doing that. And thank you very much for doing that. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Trustees report. Mickey?
Okay, I'll start it with the Fire Commission. At the last Fire Commission, Duncan Murdoch received a big welcome from the commission. As far as hiring, they had the third job fair. It was held on December 7th, and it was very successful with 2 recruits signing up. One of them already has an EMS license, which will save us quite a bit of money. The other one is a retired police officer, also great training. If both are hired, the number of employees goes up to 28, where it's almost double what we had 2 years ago, thanks to Chief Camilleri's hiring strategy. Just out of those job fairs, we've had 8 recent recruits. The next Fire Commission will be January 9th at 5 p.m. in this room. And Joe, when I wanted to report out on, and stop me if you don't want me to, but Chief John Camilleri will be retiring soon. And we'll be looking for his replacement, the committee will. So we wish him all the best, but want him to stick around until we hire another qualified person. Okay? On the Greenway Open Space Committee, the chairman, Bill Stevenson, has a great article in the Grand that will be coming out maybe in print, I think tomorrow, covers all their objectives and progress. I want to give a special shout out to Bert Urbani for updating the guide to natural areas at Grosse Ile this past year, and also the Pullman Company for their generous service project of renovating the old concrete bridge in Meridian Woods. There was no cost to the township for that. They do have an opening on the committee. If anyone's interested, you can fill out an application that's found on the township website. And their next meeting is January 7th at 7 p.m. in this room. And just along those lines, if you're interested in something to do this weekend, the Grosse Ile Nature and Land Conservancy has a free class called Cold-Blooded Creatures, Sunday, December 15th from 1 to 2:30 at their Resource Center, which is by the post office, right next to the old PNC Bank. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bill?
I serve on the Planning Commission and the Airport Commerce Park. And what I'm doing now is making relationship or trying to build it with those people. I've either been to some of the meetings or watched them on my computer. I think that I'm fortunate to be having an opportunity to associate with some pretty sharp guys, people, and that I look forward to. I've already stated what my goals were earlier in the meeting, and I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Mark?
Thank you. I'm currently assigned to the Zoning Board of Appeals, board I've been a part of for the last 4 years. Chairs the last 2 up until November 5th. We're not meeting in December. We don't have anything scheduled for January as of yet. That could change. If nothing else, we might set up some type of training for the board to go over some new things coming up. Also, we are looking for a couple of members for that board if anybody is interested. As far as what we were talking about earlier in the meeting, some goals and objectives. I want to try to do, well, I will be working as close as I can with Mr. Quirrell, Ross Quirrell, and our ordinance department to help try to streamline things that we might be able to streamline to help enforcement issues around the island. I've received a number of complaints already from other people about repetitive ordinance violations and trying to get the corrections done. So I want to work with Ross and our ordinance department the best we can, best possible. And then if there are any issues at the court, or if I would like to look at it from a court level too, see if there are any things going on there, maybe work with our prosecutor. But basically, I'm looking to go ahead and see what we can do to go ahead and help streamline things a little bit and make things move in a forward direction for all the citizens on the island. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Margaret?
So, some of the goals. I am on the police commission. I am their liaison, and in the next few months, I want to do my best to educate our community on our amazing public safety services, specifically the things like...
Hey, turn your mic on, Margaret.
Oh. Yeah, thanks. Sorry about that. So I'll repeat what I said because nobody heard it. In the next few months, one of my goals is to educate our community on our amazing public safety services, but specifically highlight what our police are doing for us. I know there's a lot of comments that, oh, nothing ever happens on Grosse Ile. It's as safe as can be. If you don't think anything happens on Grosse Ile, thank a police officer, because they're resolving all these issues before anybody gets to know about them. They're keeping us safe and everything as peaceful as possible, and they're doing so with a very limited staffing. Another commission that we are going to be starting up, and you heard Supervisor Porcerelli speak of it, is the Communication Commission, and I'm going to be the liaison to that. I've been working on developing a statement of work, so what the commission actually will be doing, and just sketching out some of the deliverables. And my goal is to work with Brian on that, because Brian right now is our communications person, and so a lot of the things, bless you, like I heard Jameson mention Citizens Dashboard. So things like that, I know that that's going to be specific to the software you heard ClearGov, Teresa, bring up to us. But it's also going to be, we'd like to see maybe the website streamlined a bit. We're going to, review those things and work to just make things a little bit easier for all of the residents. So that kind of covers everything that, I would say our goals and requirements. And just for everybody's notice, the Police Commission is going to be meeting December 17th, 7 p.m. in the boardroom. And that's it.
Thank you, Margaret. Township Manager, Mr. Thiel.
Good evening, Supervisor and members of the board. Just a quick few items this evening. More than likely, this will be the final meeting of the board for the calendar year. The next meeting would be scheduled on Christmas Eve. So generally, the board has taken that off and had their first meeting, or their next meeting being in the beginning of January. So I'll speak with the supervisor about that, but for the benefit of the residents, that has traditionally been the case. So more than likely, that'll probably be the case for the month of December. So in addition to that, Township Hall is normally closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So if the residents are looking to pay bills and come to Township Hall, we'll be closed on both of those days. As was mentioned earlier, I think in a previous presentation, there has been some modifications to our website to provide additional information and new information and ongoing new information with regards to the bridge proposal, or not the proposal, but to move from the proposal to the bridge as we move forward with purchase and construction. Some timelines have been placed on there. One of the timelines that has been placed on there kind of takes the project from the beginning to the end. I want to be very clear, though. This timeline is a draft, because there are a lot of things that still have to still get firmed up, but I'd like to put it on the overhead so that the residents can see what is currently on the website. So once again, a copy of this can be found on the website. It was placed on there today. I'd like to focus in the beginning of the timeline, which is actually today, December 9th. As was discussed earlier in the meeting, the board reviewed and approved the bonding for the purchase and engineering for the Grosse Ile Toll Bridge. As was mentioned by Mr. McGow earlier, bond sale will take place likely in the middle to the end of January, and there is some strategy for when we bond. We've been told that the end of the calendar year doesn't receive as favorable of interest rates, just because there are a lot of entities that are trying to fit their bonding in before the end of the calendar year. So pushing the actual sale to the middle to the end of January makes sense from an interest rate standpoint. So we're trying to save some money there. As was mentioned earlier, once again today, bridge engineering proposals. If the overall decision of the board is to go to the market on bridge engineering work, that would be by way of formal proposal, and we would look to the month of February to put that information together to get it to interested parties. Bond closing would take place in mid-February. And once those funds are available, the bridge would be able to be purchased, which would take place sometime between February 14th and March 1st, with the key on that being purchase taking place before the Wayne County bridge closes, so that we have control of that bridge when the toll bridge, that is, when the Wayne County bridge closes for the month-long construction work that has to take place in the spring. After the closing, there would be a variety of different information that should be available to the public with regards to the bridge purchase and the information that went into the proposal. Bridge engineering proposals would be due on March 15th of 2025. So that would give us the requests and the due date about a month to be received by the township. As we did with the bridge engineering, the review of the toll bridge, it would be my intent to have a similar type process to that, which is basically the board would review all the proposals that we would receive, and then you could interview via public meeting the bridge engineering firms with the intent to make a selection, hopefully around the middle of April. After the bridge engineer is selected, then they can start working on engineering for the work on the toll bridge. And that hopefully would take a period of 6 months or so. And I think if we were to consider any potential issue with delays, it would be in this time period here, just simply because we haven't been able to, we won't know until we get a bridge engineer to submit a proposal what they feel that the timeline would be for the work that they're going to need to do to be able to get the bridge proposal together for bidding. There's permitting in there, there's bidding in there, there's the overall design of the project that will have to be put together. So whether that 6-month time period that's in there right now is achievable, we'll have to find that out more in detail as we work with potential bridge engineering firms. After the bridge engineering work is done, we would then go to bid on the construction work. And we would hope that if we can achieve these dates here with engineering, that bids could be done or due in the end of September. Once we have the bids in hand for the construction work, then we could do our bonding for the actual improvements, which would be in the fall of 2025. I have a placeholder in there for October 1st of 25 for the construction bonds. And then bonds would close right around the 15th of November of 25 in this scenario. And once that funding was available, then we could award the contract to a company to hopefully do the work starting March 1st of 26 to coincide with the construction season. We would hope if we can achieve this date when construction would start, which would be March 1st of 26, that we would have that work completed by October 1st of 26 or the end of that construction season to try to coincide with the Wayne County bridge closure that we know is going to occur hopefully after this work is completed. So this is a draft. I just want to be very clear that the above timeline is an estimate and is subject to change. There are a variety of different components there that have to be firmed up before we can really confirm that that's where we're going to be at with the schedule, but that's tentative at this point to at least give the residents an idea of the various steps when they can expect them and also understand, the process moving forward. The township never sits on its laurels and waits for things to come along. We try to press agenda, move things forward, try to get things completed for the residents. So it's an aggressive timeline, but one that we're hopeful that we can achieve. So that's available on the website for residents to review. Once again, as more information becomes available, as we're allowed to provide information to the residents, we'll be sure to have that available on our website. So with that, if it does end up being the last meeting of the month of December, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the month of January. Thank you.
Okay, next will be the supervisor's report. I went over a few things already. I just want to hit on a couple of things. I know it's getting late. Once again, the public meeting that I spoke about earlier with the emphasis on business owners for the bridge issues. Derek and I are going to work on that. Once we I have to meet with the engineers, with Derek, get a few things solidified, if you will. We already have met, and we got some numbers, we got some plans that we're going to do of getting the necessities on and off Grosse Ile, but we will let you know with that. The next one is kind of new, the DTE battery plant. We've been asking DTE if they can inform us on the safety issues and having a public hearing also, a public meeting for the people. And they stated they will do that. They're going to get back with me. I got an email from them, and that'll be promising because there has been a lot of questions about the fire services in the area. But I will tell you this, that Trenton already is training on it, and the fire chief from Grosse Ile told me that they have been training for battery fires for the last few years. Not that they're exact type that will be going into DTE, but the basic makeup and firefighting principles are the same on what they're trying to knock down. So that was a good thing. So we'll let you know about that when we get that meeting through. I also want to thank Zaid is here in the audience, and I know that the Island Glow last weekend was quite successful. And how do you measure success in an event? Well, there's a couple ways. You can measure it by the number of people that show up. It was packed. These little kids, I was freezing, but these little kids stuck it out. That's not funny, it's real. I couldn't believe it. They were so cold and so happy to see Santa. I've never seen so many people at this type of event. That might have been Zaid. I'm not trying to grease you up. Don't fall out of the chair there, but I don't know if I've been to the ones down there, and I don't know if this was as many as I've ever seen in one place, two places, the Commons and Lions Park. I mean, it was jam-packed. Thank you. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't, whoever your crew is who handles that, I know Chad.
Definitely want to give a shout out to Chad Novak.
He was out there moving and shaking and telling me what to do and when to talk. And but really, you guys did a great job, Zaid. It was really a wonderful event for the kids and the parents. I think everybody enjoyed it. And once again, how do you rate success? I think attendance is one of the main issues. So thank you very much, and really thank everybody that was involved. I don't have those names, and I don't want to miss anybody. I just want one quick point, and what Mark talked about is our ordinance issues. I've been asked to review our ordinance enforcement, if you will, and I'm going to ask the board if we have a study session, some type of discussion item on the direction that we want to go for ordinance violations. And I'm not saying that they're, well, here, this is a brand new board, let's just move forward. It's the best if I just say we're going to review it, and we have to get the temperature of the township, the people that live here, on the enforcement issues, because each city kind of has their own way from what they got from their people that live there, the citizens. In other words, how far do you want things enforced? What are you, I don't want to say be relaxed on, but unfortunately sometimes that's what the word is. So the bottom line here, Mark, I think it's important that we have some type of discussion item within the board on our ordinance enforcement area, period. And I think that we need to do that. And we did get a little bit of that the last 4 years, but I don't think it was enough. So we're going to do that. Okay, next issue. We're going to be working on creating the commission and the 2 advisory boards. We'll be asking for applications fairly soon for each of these. Again, how you create a commission is a little bit different than an advisory board. So I'm going to have to get with Derek and our attorney on the proper way we start and move forward with these 2 advisory groups. And that is it for me tonight. I went over most of the stuff in the beginning. And I just want to thank everybody who came out tonight. We appreciate seeing you. And if you're at home, thank you for listening. And this was our first meeting, and I really look forward to moving this boat in the right direction and making sure it moves. And I know that these board members are behind me, and we're going to work together. And this is going to be a group of 7 doing things, and we already have. We've already changed some small issues within the township, you may say. I've worked with Teresa and Derek on a couple issues to make things easier for her department. We did some things for the agenda clerk's department, but we're not going to stop. This is just the beginning, and I just appreciate all of you up here, and I know that we're going to do some good things for Grosse Ile. So thank you very much. And that is it for me. I've taken up enough of your time tonight. And no, we still got, sorry.
Go ahead, public.
I got this new thing going here, you know?
I forgot. Public's last.
I got this new thing
The
going.
boss talks last.
So anyway, anybody in the audience, again, it's 3 minutes of anything you want to tell us. Come on up and give your name, please. And thanks.
Greg Carmazin, 1228 East River Road. First of all, I want to just say that it's a great night to see such enthusiasm.
Mic on? Your mic?
Do I have to? Oh, okay. You have to push it to turn it on. All right. Anyways.
I'll start over. Don't worry.
No, it's just there's great enthusiasm on this board, great ideas, tremendous. All members of this board bring different perspectives and experience, and I think it's really fantastic to see this board already implementing some things and it's a first meeting tonight that already fulfill some of the, at least one or two of the campaign pledges that have been made. And when we look at, for example, transparency and accountability was a big issue in I know for a number of the candidates that ran, and Mr. Supervisor, bringing that public comment period back to the end of the meeting, I think that's something that a number of residents have been asking for the last 4 years, really. And now it's done. It's done tonight. So you've already checked off a big box of transparency and citizen engagement. So thank you for doing that. When it comes to financial management and transparency, the ClearGov contract being approved tonight, I give credit to Teresa, our finance director, for approving that. Obviously, Kevin Flavin, our treasurer, was interested in that and had campaigned on the idea of having a more transparent and thoughtful explanation of the budget process and spending. Clerk Jameson, Yeager, you've talked about the citizens dashboard. Sounds like this ClearGov information is going to play right into that. So again, it's the first. This is like opening day, and already you've hit some home runs. So really, really encouraging. On the bridge discussion about the bridge bonds, I mean, certainly those of us who supported the bridge bond proposal are very glad to see it moving forward. I certainly strongly supported it and think it's essential for the community. I was glad to hear tonight that that timeline that Manager Thiel laid out. There's a lot of steps in this. Obviously, it is complex, and I know all members of the board have opinions and ideas, and you're all working together on it. It's going to take some time to figure out, but I definitely think that it's important that you are as transparent as possible. And I understand that it's not been the board that's been holding back this information. There's been the non-disclosure agreement with the bridge company, and that's been governing the a lot of the information that can be provided to the public. And during the public hearings that took place to explain the bridge bond, it was clearly stated that as soon as the township was able to do so, there would be a lot of information and detail that couldn't be provided. And it sounds like with the timeline that was laid out, that if this bridge, if the township's able to purchase the bridge in February, at some point thereafter, once an engineering firm is engaged, you have the capability then to get into a discussion with the community about the plans for operation, maintenance, strengthening of the bridge, all of those details. So I think that's important that information is provided to the public, especially before the bulk of the bond money is spent. And as you also mentioned, Mr. Supervisor, some type of oversight body, a commission or a advisory committee or whatever, that has to be put in place, and it sounds like you've got a plan to move that forward. So just encouraged by what I'm hearing tonight. You know, it's great to see the progress being made already, and I think you're going to find a lot of support for keeping it going. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? Nobody? I don't see anybody on the other side. Jameson, it's yours.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I want to stay. All right. Thank you, everyone.